Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. Today I am back with another weekly recap. In the weekly recap, I like to just have a look at the wheelings and dealings of the RuneScape community this week. We're going to have a look at content updates this week, poll blogs, or really anything else that is related to the old school RuneScape community. To begin with here, we have a content update and a poll blog to go over, so that is exciting. Wooks and friends are trying to brute force solve Crack the Clue by literally digging in every single possible square with every possible combination of items. So more on that later. Old School RuneScape has another comedy night, more hardcore Ironman die, and a simple change to clue scrolls could really destroy them potentially forever if this ends up passing. So anyway guys, I hope you enjoy and let's get started. So as many of you may know, we're getting a new Treasure Trail expansion and I'm for the most part really excited about it. However, there's one part here that most people feel is not going to be a good change in the long run, and we'll get to that in just a minute. To begin with here, we have, well, beginner clue scrolls. These will be accessible to free-to-play accounts. They're going to be very short, like 1 to 3 step clues, and they will not be required to create a master clue, so they'll be exempt from that. In addition, with the new quest X marks the spot, you will now be given a beginner clue scroll, so a free-to-play player can get a clue scroll right off the bat. But I'm assuming you're not going to be able to get gilded or anything, so I'm assuming they're going to be pretty terrible. We are going to be getting some new slider puzzles finally. We're going to get one for the Theater of Blood, Vorkath, as well as the Chambers of Zarek. We have quite a few interesting new items that are being proposed in this poll blog. We have the Cape of Skulls. This cape would skull the player when worn, just like the Amulet of Avarice. The skull will be applied until the cape is unequipped, at which point the skull will disappear after 20 minutes. The cape would have the exact same stats as an obsidian cape. It's probably not going to be useful for PvMers. No one would add extra risk just to get a few more defensive stats, but in PvP it might be interesting. We have the Spiked Manacles. It would be an item that goes in the footwear slot, and it would be comparable to the climbing boots, but with a +4 strength bonus and no defensive bonuses. These would be massive. These spiked manacles are going to be extremely valuable, I'd imagine, because a +4 strength bonus in the foot slot is extremely good, especially since, as far as I can tell, they have no requirements. Yet considering the primordial boots give a +5 strength bonus and they require 75 strength and defense to wear, that's really good. I know they don't provide any defensive bonuses, but this item could be worth tens of millions, especially if it's accessible to pure accounts. Next up we have the Blessed D-Eyed Shields. These will have stats comparable to the Black D-Eyed Shield, but with a +1 prayer bonus. We have the Fremna Kilt. This stylish kilt will have stats comparable to Iron Plate Legs, but with a +1 strength bonus. Okay, that's pretty reasonable. And next up here we have the Third Age Druidic set. This will be the final set in the Third Age set. The top and bottom will require 65 defense and prayer to wear. The top will provide a +8 prayer bonus and the bottom will provide a +6 prayer bonus. So this will be equivalent to Proselyte armor except without the negative magic attack bonus, and it will be better or on par with the Vestment robe set. It'll give a higher prayer bonus, but it doesn't give any magical attack bonuses. And after that we have quite a few other cosmetic items or things that are going to be equivalent to other items in the game already. For example, the Gilded Dragonite set, Ranger Tights, sorry. Anyway, there's just a bunch of extra stuff there. Okay, next up here are some of the more controversial changes I was talking about earlier. The first one here is re-rolling clue steps. So they have clarified the only way to acquire a re-roll is to complete a set number of clue scrolls of the same tier as the clue step that you want to re-roll. For example, you cannot complete a bunch of easy clues to get a reroll on a hard clue. So that's good. So hopefully they make it a fairly high amount if this does pass, but overall I just don't really see the point. I think it just makes things more complicated. If you can't complete the clue, you just drop it or you grind out for the requirements. I think we should just leave it as is. Now this part here is probably the most dangerous, and that is allowing multiple clue scrolls and stackable reward caskets. Now they did make an update to this. Previously there was not going to be a cap to how many clue scrolls that you could have in your bank. Now the reason this is such a problem is clue scrolls are actually fairly common. I mean, they are rare obviously, but you get them a lot. If they were stackable, people would end up with like hundreds of easy clues in their bank, and that is one of the main gating factors that is preventing people from completing a ton of clue scrolls. You have to stop what you're doing and complete the clue scroll. You cannot farm them or continue going and expect to get another one. I think this is an iconic part of clue scrolls and what really makes them a distraction and diversion. You have to go do it or you're not going to be able to do more. So if clue scrolls become stackable, we are going to see way more clue scrolls completed, which will tank the price of any of the mega rare items like Ranger boots, Wizard boots, or really any of those high tier clue scroll items. I think there's just really no reason to do that, because if the rewards become valueless, then doing the clue scrolls will not be fun, because there's always a chance of getting that mega rare drop, which makes them enticing. If there's nothing expensive on the table, they're just not going to be fun to do. So as described in the current poll blog, they're putting a cap at 5 per tier of clue scroll, which I think is still just unnecessary. Let's just scrap this idea completely and not put it in. Even 5 would probably have a fairly large impact on the amount of clue scrolls that are being completed, and I just don't think there's that big a benefit behind it. And last up here, really support this last one, is a graphical change to clue scrolls, clue bottles, and clue nests. I think this will just be an easy visual way to identify them, so I'm pretty happy with that. And that's pretty much it for the poll blog. A lot of great things here. I would heavily consider voting no for both the skippable clue scroll and the stackable clue scroll. I just don't think it's necessary. Anyway, let's move on. Right, so today we actually received a content update, mostly all quality of life again, and then some changes to a dead man mode. Now you can actually click on the special attack orb in your top right of your UI, and you'll activate your special attack. This will not work in the duel arena, PvP, or really any other scenarios that is related to PvP. The god spell icons have now been recolored. You can now make a one-off payment to Sanibotch, so you can now pay 1 million coins to never have to pay again to enter the Brimhaven dungeon, which is nice because it's really annoying bringing all that money all the time. One somewhat big change here is players can now continue to gain dark totem pieces in order even if they have not combined their existing pieces. So if I am reading this correctly, that means that you can get an unlimited amount of dark totem pieces. One massive change is the Grand Exchange history now extends to 40 items as opposed to 20. That is absolutely massive for me because I always lose what is actually in my GE offer. And that is it for content updates this week. So now we're moving on to community news, and once again we received a RuneLite update this week. Like clockwork, really awesome to see how consistent the RuneLite team has been. There is now a music notification plugin, so whenever you unlock a new piece of music, it will alert you in the chat. A nice quick quality of life change. The clan plugin now has an option to show when players join or leave clan chats. People will often just kind of sneak in like a ghost and then leave again, and I never know who's joining or leaving. So I think this is a really awesome alert. However, I guess it would only work for people who have a RuneLite, so it only really apply to me. And also the clan plugin now has a new option to show when clan members have a rank in the public or private messages. Old RuneScape once again had a comedy night. I didn't go, but I just love stuff like this. I like to highlight it. So I just read this awesome poster, Bustler's Big Joke Comedy Night, a 1 mil GP prize. All the jokes are going to be ranked, and whoever wins gets a 1 mil GP prize. The next day, I read, the joke contest should be in a POH. Too many people are running up stage and saying the N-word. Is anyone surprised? Not really. Well, good try though. A very high rank hardcore Ironman by the name of OSRS has died at Cerberus due to a DC. About 3 days ago there were some server issues which apparently have been fixed. Whoever knows what that means. Unfortunately, OSRS has died twice to DCs. It's a very big problem with very little that can fix it. Server issues or own personal writer issues can always cause you to DC and lose pretty much everything. Once again this week, there was actually a fairly substantial bug. Stackable items now have odd death interactions. 2 to 3 item lures are now possible, likely due to the Revenant statue update. So a Reddit user by the name of Blue Parachute posted this image, and you can see that there are 2 god swords and a coin that are protecting above the blowpipe, which is extremely weird. I am not sure if this has been fixed yet, but you want to be extremely careful, especially now. A Reddit user by the name of AppleJuicyZ posted this really awesome interactive network for all of the old RuneScape quests. I will post a link to the Reddit thread, and there should be a way to mess around with the image yourself. And last up here, Wooks and a bunch of clan members are attempting to brute force solve Crack the Clue. Based on a few pieces of information that have been released about Crack the Clue, we know that it is accessible to free-to-play players, so Wooks and a bunch of other people are now dividing the entire free-to-play game map into quadrants, and they are going to individually go through every tile and dig, and along with that they're going to be taking 26 unique free-to-play items at a time and repeating that until they have brute forced the result for the Crack the Clue contest. I'm not really sure how long this might take, but looking at the quadrants, maybe not actually that long. We may actually have a solution to Crack the Clue 2 much sooner than the last one. So good luck, guys. And last up here, we're going to quickly go over the weekly Q&A with the moderation team. Now, one piece of information that was released recently is the Song of the Elves is going to hopefully be out in the summertime, so it's going to be a few months until we actually receive that content. Now for the questions, any update on the Arceus spellbook rework? They said it's still there, but they're just looking for when and how to introduce it. Some people suggested having it come alongside the next quest. Are there any future plans for redwood logs? A few ideas are around. The obvious solution would be making planks for construction. They're not looking to change the meta quite yet. With crystal tools, what would happen to Third Age? Should it be buffed to be at least as good? They said probably not. Third Age is pretty much cosmetic anyway. Infernal tools are already better. How will crystal tools work with the infernal tools? They'll have to be taken into consideration, but they do have different effects, so for the most part right now they may not need to change anything. What does the team think about superior versions of the new Slayer monsters? They do like the idea of superiors to help with variety. Perhaps for the new worms and drakes would be cool. Can we get an invisible boost to the new fishing rod? They said it's mostly cosmetic and to save on an inventory spot, so no. Will crystal equipment, the bows, shields, and halberds, be able to be repaired after the new elf quest? They said they haven't decided or reached a solution yet, however there will be places and ways to implement it. Could you buff the rewards to Trouble Brewing to make the content worth it again? They said that now that Trouble Brewing has a bit more of a clear timer, we can do more with brewing. Perhaps making more content that uses ales and brews. And that's pretty much it for the Q&A. I'm really trying to trim this down a bit because there are quite a few repeat questions. Anyway guys, that is it for the weekly recap. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to leave a like, I always appreciate it, and I will see you next time.